Good morning, it's Torte de Lini. If you haven't noticed, there's been a surge of popularity in playing this hero you're seeing here, Dragonite, after a year or two of being relatively forgotten. I think from as far back as 7.30, almost 4 or 5 years ago, I cannot really think of a time that Dragonite was any good. In fact, even at the International 2023, he was only played, I think, once during the meta where you'd think almost all strength heroes would be beloved. But not Dragonite, as he mostly just did not deal enough damage output for his size, and if everyone is as tanky as he is, what does he have to offer besides some pushing power? But something's changed with him in this recent patch, and in a way that had really bolstered his place in the meta. If we check Dota 2 Pro Tracker, we can see he's got a pretty strong play rate at 3,548 for the past 8 days, and a 50% win rate, which I think will go up over time as the meta devolves some more. But in short, I mean, the hero has really just grown to find its place, and really has really found this meta to be kind of his calling card. He's become kind of an anti-meta hero in that his stability as a laner has definitely given rise to his success. For coordinated lineups like in the Bet Boom tournament that's going on right now, we can see that he's probably one of the most popularly played heroes, right? 55% win rate, top 3 picks in the entire tournament so far. It's really respectable and really just a sign that he's just one of the most played heroes in the tournament, one, and then two is the fact that he fits in almost any lineup, and I think it really goes to show the many reasons why he can kind of get away with fitting in a meta where it seems like only agi carries can walk the talk, so to speak. So for starters, if you look at Dragonite's patch history, they've been buffing this guy, I think, since Kingdom Come. It's really, they've done a variety of things to make him a bit more viable, but nothing really stuck. Is my head blocking it a little bit? They gave him a bit more health in 7.33, which you see here. They tried to make Breeze Fire better, more movement speed, BAT. It's honestly only in 7.35, and that small little change that has, I wouldn't say small, but that one change that has tipped everything in Dragonite's favor, especially when he got that big boon in farming and fighting, where now his Breeze Fire applies corrosive and frost breath regardless if you're in dragon form or in human form. That's a pretty massive extra output of damage and for farming at all points of a match. So right now Dragonite is a bit of an anti-meta, and thus that makes him meta. I know, it's kind of funny. As more and more builds kind of lean towards spells, damage over time, attacks, and magic-based damage, Dragonite continues to be kind of a fixed point of stability. He still shrugs off most magic damage in combination with his Ag Scepter, which raises his magic resistance by 25%. And he's the 11th best hero in Strength Gain, right below Mars, Tiny, and Doom, all very tanky heroes. But he's always been honestly one of the most stable laners in the game, with high armor, good regeneration, and last hitting comfort. Nowadays, Dragonite builds 2 bracers in the lane, which just gives him even more regeneration, a bit more stats, and more importantly, a lot of hitting power. With the popularity of Mage Slayer just providing way too much attack speed, he kind of skips Hand of Midas, and he instead opts for that Mage Slayer, which gives him better output, proactiveness during his ultimate ability throughout all stages of the game. Mage Slayer with that corrosive breath, damage over time, with his level 1 dragon form, which you're seeing here, it's just wild to deal with. It's just an incredible damage, even when you manage to escape Dragonite's attack range. On top of that, Silver Edge was nerfed. We see a lot less heroes having break to deal with Dragonite's Dragon Blood, which gives him that armor and regeneration. So he's still got that great armor and regeneration throughout the whole match whenever he's picked. That great armor translates into a nice stone wall against the rise of agi carries that we see a lot in this meta, like Luna, Meepo, Faceless Void, very popular, Anti-Mage. Those agi carries are also loving to buy Disperser, which Dragonite also kind of shrugs off the mana burn, since once he pops his ultimate, having no mana is not the end of the world. It's annoying to deal with, right? Having no mana means you can't do the stun or you can't do breathe fire, but it's not the end of the world, given that what he wants to do most requires very little mana, and it's regularly off cooldown, and more importantly, all you need to do is really attack with it, and you can slow, do damage over time, and splash damage, and use Siege Tower is great. So his item build is the same as it's always been. Manta style for the dispel on top of movement speed. Great farming as well, since you can use the illusions to push waves down. Siege towers, like we talked about, without you being there. And on top of that, it just does massive damage to any target you are working on. Blink Dagger for that guaranteed great ranged stun in dragon form with the shield crash. And of course, Aghanim Scepter for that level 4 dragon form ultimate. That's what really matters because of that magic resistance buff we talked about in combination with the Mage Slayer buff we also talked about. This kind of makes Dragon Knight a bit of a whirlpool, encountering, in a matter of speaking, I guess, a lot of popular heroes and the current meta trend. And I mean, he's still, as I said before, just an incredibly stable laner. So playing him in the off lane or even mid lane guarantees at least a stalemate against most matchups. And at best, you take a free tower. The hero is just a good centerpiece of this current patch. That's the slogan I would give Dragon Knight, a good centerpiece. For Bet Boom, Dacha, the reason why we see him being drafted a lot is just because you can draft him early and it doesn't really reveal your strategy, right? It just tells the enemy team to pick up break in some manner or form. But you can draft Dragon Knight as a mid or draft him as an offlaner, and for the enemy team to see that as your first core pick doesn't say much. So the ramifications of this big Dragon Knight resurgence is pretty much twofold. One is evidently, I think next patch we'll see Mage Slayer a little less involved, I guess, or penetrative in the meta, with probably a potential nerf. Probably either going to look to increase its cost or remove maybe its magic resistance with the cloak component. Those are just two ideas off the top of my head, right? We talked about Dragon Knight gets like 64% magic resistance on top of the 40% spell damage reduction when he debuffs enemies with his attack using Mage Slayer. And I think too, the second ramification is during this patch we'll see heroes picked. We'll see heroes that have break more commonly picked. Like I think Hoodwink is a hero we're seeing a lot at the Bet Boom event, right? Yeah, Hoodwink's among the top 7, so definitely a reason for that. Hoodwink buys Mage Slayer, also has a great break. Also the Glipnir is another thing that forces teams to have to dispel or get out of, which is annoying. So simply put, really simple here, Dragon Knight remains a boring but solution to the current meta of fast moving, many dispelling heroes with massive damage. He comes jam-packed with high armor, good strength gain, thus health, and is guaranteed to almost always even out in the lane or even win it, which is one of the main goals in the early game for this meta. With Silver Edge in the decline and Mage Slayer amping up Dragon Knight's Corrosive Breath, it makes him a fast farmer and hitter right from the mid game, that farms pretty well with a short cooldown on his ultimate ability. It's like his ultimate's like 40 seconds, right? When it's off cooldown, or when it's on cooldown, because you're using your ultimate for 60 seconds and the cooldown is 100 seconds. So simple math says that you're not in dragon form for about 40 seconds per minute. 40 seconds per minute. For about 40 seconds between when it comes off cooldown and when you're in dragon form. So confusions aside, Dragon Knight is pretty much a response to the meta and a remaining strength core hero in a post 7.34 strength dominated world. That world is no longer around, but rise from its ashes comes Dragon Knight on top of it, which is great because it's everybody's favorite first tutorial hero when it comes to Dota 2. I just got the hang of him. At least I used to suck ass with him. Now I got the whole point. Someone told me farm with dragon form, and it just unlocked how to play Dragon Knight for me. I know it's that simple. It's kind of funny for someone who makes builds. He should know something that straightforward, but I actually never realized it until now. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to let people know that I make these videos, as I love reading your comments and thoughts and advice. By the way, happy to announce that after a month of doing these videos, I'm now a partner on YouTube. So my videos are now monetized. Enjoy the advertising, I guess. Evidently, I don't think I'll get a lot of ad revenue since I don't have that many views. But if you want to support me, check out my Twitch. It's going to be somewhere here. or consider being a member of this channel or my main one. Join a membership. You can also do super thanks or whatever YouTube has. Anyway, I was thinking of doing a Patreon maybe, but I tried it once in 2015 and I got a lot of shit for it, so I'm a bit hesitant. But yeah, I'm thinking about Patreon to maybe just to continue to justify doing these in-game guides that everybody loves, and then maybe hire a full-time editor to help push these videos out more, because I have a lot of videos I want to do. I'm just unfortunately one man with 2 arms and 2 hands and 10 fingers that is too slow to do all this. Anyway, thanks again and have a good morning.